Hello, everyone. How's it going? This is immigration attorney Moumita. I'm coming to you live to talk about immigration and to see what important questions you may have on your mind today. I thank you so much for joining me live. My first question that I want to start this off with is, are you married to a U.S. citizen who is refusing to help you get your papers fixed? Before I dive into this question, I would like to thank everyone for joining and let you know a little bit about myself. My name is Moumita Rahman. I am an immigration lawyer. I'm located in New York City, but I work with clients all over the US. So no matter where in the US you are, feel free to give us a call if you would like me to take a look at your case and let you know what your legal options are. So let's talk about this. And if you have any questions, go ahead and put them in the comment box. I will answer them as soon as I finish talking about this important question, which is, are you married to a US citizen who is refusing to help you with your paperwork, who is refusing to help you get your papers fixed? If you are in the situation, I would like you to know that you may have an option to continue and file for yourself so that you don't have to worry about their denial of help. You don't have to worry about them holding up your process, especially if you have been going through certain problems in your relationship. Now, many people think that there are some relationship issues that are actually things that they just have to put up with because they have no other option since they're the ones without status. But I want you to keep a close eye on this. If you are experiencing any of the following, then it may mean that you are eligible to file a self-petition underneath VAWA to get a green card for yourself and thus at the same time apply for a work permit and possibly a travel document as well. This can be life-changing for you where you can take control into your own hands over how your own case goes and over your own destiny instead of being shackled to somebody else's desires of keeping you under their control. So is your US citizen spouse or your green card holding spouse doing the following? Are they repeatedly telling you that it's not important for you to file your papers right now? Or are they telling you that if they help you get your green card, then you're just going to use it to leave? Or two, are they preventing you from going outside? Do they get mad when you hang out with your family or your friends, when you send your mom and dad money back home? Or if you have children from a previous relationship, do they make it difficult for you to have time with your children? If you have children from this marriage, does your US citizen spouse ever threaten that you cannot see your children again, that they will call the police on you, and that you will never be able to see them, and nobody will believe you because you are the immigrant and they are the citizen? Does your spouse force you to work, make you feel like you're a servant in the house? And also, do you ever have to endure yelling and threats and curses from your spouse? These are certain behaviors that indicate to me that you may be going through what is called extreme cruelty. And if you are suffering extreme cruelty, then you may be eligible to self-petition for a green card, even if you are a man or a woman, even if your spouse has already filed an I-130 for you and you are supposed to go the green card process with them or do the perdón or the waiver process with them. Now, what happens if you have already filed the I-130 or you started the green card process with your spouse, but they're, number one, saying that they want to cancel your case because you're not doing what they say or you're not making them happy, or they're saying that they're not going to show up to the interview with you? Do you have any options if this happens? And again, yes, you may have the option to file for a green card on your own and continue the case on your own, regardless of what your spouse is trying to do. The law gives you this option, and it is a very, very powerful tool for you to be able to take control and not have to worry about the control your spouse is putting you through, all right? All right, so I'm done with that. And if you are going through any of this, give us a call, okay? 212-248-7907, and I will take a look at your case to see if we can help you. And the most important thing about this also that I have to mention is that if you are going through these problems with your spouse, or if you have gone through them with your spouse because you're now separated due to all the problems that you are going through, you may be able to fix your status inside the United States without having to leave for an interview. You don't have to do a waiver. You would be able to fix inside the United States if you qualify. And this is the most important thing because many of you may have families and children. And moreover, it is it's a nerve-wracking thought to have to leave, right? So definitely give us a call. Write my number down, 212-248-7907. All right. So and thank you, Catherine, for sharing this video. Sabotage is saying, how much is it to start the process? Sabotage, it depends on what process you need to do and what you qualify for and what complications your case has, which is why it is really important that anytime you need to understand what your legal options are, you speak with an attorney. Give us a call, 212-248-7907. I need to go through your case, to see what the facts are, to see what issues you have, to see whether you have criminal history, any previous application, things of that nature, so that I can understand what we need to get you into and what we can do to help. Okay. The timeline for the I-751 from Jatin Garg, and anyone else who has a 2-year green card through marriage, your timeline when you file the I-751 is almost 2 years. And that is precisely why when you have filed your application to remove the conditions on your 2-year green card so that you can get your 10-year card, they automatically now give you a extension of your status of 2 full years because the government is taking a long time. And if you are going to be scheduled for an interview for your I-751, then your timeline actually increases because anytime immigration requires you to go for an interview, it just automatically takes a long time because interview slots are, they're not a lot, right? There's actually not a lot of immigration officers throughout the US, but there's thousands and thousands of people applying for green cards and citizenship, and they need to have interviews. And the bad news is that when you're filing for the I-751, they take a little bit of a lower priority because you already have the green card and you have an extension, okay? But here's something interesting. I had a comment yesterday about somebody who wrote to me saying, my spouse took away my 2-year green card and it expired and then they gave it back to me. So I was never able to file for my removal of conditions. Do I have any options now? And for me, if you are watching this, if you wrote me that comment and you are watching me right now, I want you to call me right now. Call me right now, 212-248-7907 and book that appointment, because if your spouse has taken away your 2-year green card or your spouse caused your 2-year green card to expire on purpose, then that to me indicates that we need to file for a waiver for you underneath extreme cruelty and battery so that you don't have to worry about your spouse. And even if your 2-year green card is expired, we may still be able to file this application. So don't be scared. Just because your 2-year card is expired doesn't necessarily mean that you cannot move forward. Don't stay stuck. Give us a call. Let us help you. Filing I-751s is one of my favorite things to do. We have done lots of them. We recently just won one very difficult one last week, which was amazing because especially immigration had written to my client saying that they intended to revoke his 2-year residency because his spouse had apparently made complaints that he had just used her for the marriage, which was not true at all. And we were able to give lots of evidence and show how the spouse, the US citizen spouse, actually was the one who was trying to control and manipulate the situation, okay? All right. What is a one-step adjustment to status from Friedman Valdez? Friedman, a one-step adjustment to status is basically when you are filing together the I-130 plus the I-485. We call it a one-step. That's like an immigration lawyer speak. Basically, we file everything together concurrently, okay? I'm almost 3 years in the US. Can I apply for my citizenship? From Amina. Amina, if you have your residency, you first need to become a resident of the United States by getting a green card. And then once you have accumulated either 3 or 5 years of residency as a green card holder, then you may be eligible to file for a green card, for citizenship. It really depends on your specific case because it depends on how you got your green card. If you got your green card through marriage to a US citizen and you are still with the US citizen and you are still living with them, then you may be able to file underneath the 3-year rule. But if not, you have to go the 5-year rule, okay? Hi, Raj. Carlos Vasquez is asking what happens with DACA. Right now, DACA is at a standstill. DACA is at a standstill because of the court decision in Texas. Basically, no new DACA applications, no initial DACA applications are being approved at this moment. However, if you have filed for a renewal of your DACA, then that is still being processed. Okay, Carlos? Ali is saying, hi, Miss Moumita. I divorced my wife and now it's been more than 2 years. Is there any way, please let me know how to apply for VAWA? Ali, if you have already been divorced for more than 2 years, then the bad news is that you may no longer qualify for VAWA and we may have to look at other options, okay? Gabby, hello, my dear. How are you? Sajjad, thank you for the comments. How long is the whole VAWA process? From Nicole. Nicole and anyone else who's watching who is curious about VAWA. First of all, I want to tell everyone again the life-changing benefits of VAWA. The ability to take control of your own situation and apply for a green card, especially where you never had hope, where your spouse may have denied you for years, where you felt like you meant nothing as an immigrant in the United States, is powerful, right? And the whole VAWA process will take anywhere between 2 to 3 years, depending on where you live, because number one, the VAWA application itself is going to be decided by specially trained officers who are very skilled and trained in the nuances of domestic abuse and power and control within a domestic relationship. These officers are only in Vermont, and there are not a great deal many of them, and there are lots of VAWA applications. So the VAWA application will take anywhere between 18 to 24 months by itself. Once the VAWA application is approved, then your local field office for USCIS will be notified if you have filed an I-485 for the green card, and then you'll be scheduled in the line to get an interview for your green card case. So I would say, Nicole, a VAWA case will take between 2 to 3 years, depending on where you live and what you have filed. Macro, thank you so much for sharing. Someone selling Bad Bunny tickets. Man, I wish I could go. All right. Let's see what other questions I have. I have a question for how long is the fiance visa taking as of right now? I filed in May 2021 and still nothing. From Genesee. I think fiance visas are, usually take about 8 to 12 months just for the I-129F. And then the problem with fiance visas is that the interviews at the consulate are basically just stuck right now. They're not really scheduling them for fiance visas. So that's the main problem. Is it true in most cases they do use you and leave you after they get it from E. Sanchez? E. Sanchez, I just don't think that's true. I hear that complaint, but the reality is that not all relationships work out, right? Not all relationships work out. So just because you marry someone and you help them get a green card and it doesn't work out doesn't mean that they used you just for that green card, right? Maybe things just weren't meant to be, right? And I know that a lot of couples do stay together, so it's just a bad myth. And I think it's something that people say to manipulate others into believing that, they could only want a green card just because they're going to use them, which I think is a dangerous sort of thing to go. Because as somebody who's undocumented, really persons don't have a lot of control over their own situation, being treated by the government and just being treated by society as though they've already done something wrong, right? All right. Can I still apply for asylum if I pass the deadline from ABEDA? ABEDA and anyone else who is looking to file for asylum. If you are seeking asylum inside the United States, you must apply for asylum within 1 year of entering the US. However, there are certain circumstances where you may be able to file your asylum case after being in the US for more than 1 year. For example, if you already had some sort of status like you were a student or you had another sort of visa and it's expired, well, then that would be a good reason why you didn't file right away, because you already had a valid visa status. Second is if you never had a visa status or it already expired a while ago, but now your country condition has changed. Your country condition has changed so that now returning would make it very dangerous for you, then that may be a valid excuse for passing the 1 year deadline for the asylum case. And also, if you had some sort of exceptional circumstance or personal circumstance that is now requiring you to file now, then you may be able to file for asylum. But the point is that if you're going to wait more than 1 year to file for asylum, there has to be a good reason. You have to give proof and you have to make the argument. And you should definitely have a lawyer. Okay. I-751, I have a misdemeanor on the record from user. I don't believe that's going to be an issue. However, definitely give us a call, okay? 212-248-7907. All right. I have a question from Eric who's asking, how long does it take How long for a marriage card for a U.S. citizen to be processed? Eric O. I believe you're trying to ask, how long does the marriage green card case take? And again, it really depends. If you are married to a citizen and you are doing the joint marriage filing, meaning you're not filing for VAWA, you're filing a joint case with your spouse, then how long your case takes will definitely depend on where you live, because of the fact that almost all couples have to go for an interview for their marriage green card case, and the wait time for the interview at each immigration office can vary greatly. If I have an I-131, can I travel out of the country while my I-360 is pending, and am I allowed to come back? From Mitchell. So Mitchell, and anyone who has advanced parole, in any sort of case, if you have advanced parole that's been approved and you want to travel out of the US, but you're worried about what's going to happen, whether you would be allowed in, what I would say is this: if you have any sort of criminal history, you should probably think twice about traveling, and definitely speak with your attorney before you do so. For the most part, the majority of people majority of my clients have never had a problem coming back using advanced parole, but it is definitely true that nobody can guarantee a 100% guarantee that you'll be allowed back in, because only Customs and Border Patrol has control over who they admit into the country and who they deny admission to. So it's really in the hands of Border Patrol. If you have advanced parole and you are at all worried about traveling out of the US and being able to come back, please speak with your attorney before you depart, okay? That's as much as I can say. We are not married and we have one son. He doesn't want to help me become legal. How can you help me, please? From Itachi. Itachi, if you are not married, it is not possible to do any sort of VAWA application. However, if you have suffered any sort of domestic violence, physical abuse, and you've been able to call the police, then we may be able to do a U visa for you. Now, there are certain situations when you may be in a relationship with somebody and you may not be married, but your person, your boyfriend or your girlfriend, basically treats you kind of like a slave inside your relationship, and you are forced to do all of the work. You do everything they say out of fear. Maybe they have threatened you in many ways, and you have to turn over your money. These may be situations where you may qualify for something called a T visa. That's another option as well. Janziza, you're asking, do I assist with visitor visas? I do not do any visitor visas. That is not something that I do, but thank you for asking. I have been waiting for over 2 years for a bond to be returned. Everything is in order, from Nunez. Nunez, that's really strange. I'm sure that you contacted the CBP office. Maybe you might want to try to see if you can get in touch with the supervisor there, okay? My boyfriend is from India. He wants to get a citizenship. How long do we have to be married for? From Marissa. Marissa, as long as you get married, you can start the process right away. There's no minimum time that you have to stay married. However, if you meet and get married really fast and file right away, then you may have a little bit of a higher burden of proving that your relationship is real. So definitely start beefing up your bona fides, meaning make sure you have lots of good joint evidence and that you prepare well. You can give us a call if you need help, okay? 212-248-7907. I have literally traveled almost all over the country on marriage green card cases and other cases. It is one of the things that I really like to do. And if you need our help, give us a call. What is the timeline for a combo card after filing for AOS based in Texas? Eddie, I believe these are taking like 10 to 12 months right now. I filed for my brother in 2004. They still don't come yet. From Sweet Canna, if you're filing for a sibling, these cases do take more than 10 years. The visa category has to be current and the NVC processing has to get done. CJ's Landscaping, hello, how are you? Nice to see you here. All right, should an immigrant not carry their Mexican matricula? Would it pose a risk of getting deported? From Gabby? Gabby, that's a very interesting question. Now, there is no U.S. requirement to carry ID, I believe. However, if you have a green card, I believe you may be required to carry that. Don't quote me on this. But if you're worried about being picked up and then them seeing that you don't have residence in the U.S., of course, carrying the matricula can give that away, obviously. But I think that you should do what you feel most comfortable with. Obviously, if here's the thing, guys. If you were to ever get picked up by ICE, unless you have, you were already ordered deported and you have an unexecuted order of removal, most people are not going to get sent back right away. There's going to be a trial. There's going to be, a case that has to be done to get you out of the U.S. So not much is going to happen right away. So carrying ID may not make a difference. Really, it's about what is most convenient for you, I would say. Okay, Gabby? All right. I want to file for my parents. They are here from Sena. Sena, that's great to hear. If you're a U.S. citizen, you're an adult, your parents are here. My first question is, how did your parents enter the U.S.? Did they come with a visit visa or some other visa? If they have a legal entry into the U.S., then the case for your parents is going to be very simple to do. And it does not matter how long they've been overstayed. I have definitely helped to adjust, meaning I have helped get green cards for lots of parents who were here for 10, 20 years as overstays on visas and no questions asked, right? However, if your mom or dad does not have a legal entry and you are the adult U.S. citizen child, then we have to be looking at other options, because immigration law makes it very difficult for persons to adjust status when they don't have a legal entry, which is why I always look in every case for certain humanitarian options. And also, two more things that that you have to look at are if your parents don't have a legal entry, but they do have a child who's in the military or who's a veteran, we can do military parole in place. Or if they have a brother or sister or father or employer who, like back in the 90s, 2000, filed an application for them, then that may qualify them for something called Section 245I, adjustment of status, which is an amazing tool too. However, we also have to analyze your parents' immigration history to see if they have something called the permanent bar. If they have the permanent bar, then the other options that we need to look at are cases such as like the T visa, the U visa, and also VAWA for children, okay? So Sena, if you want to talk about your parents, give us a call, 212-248-7907, okay? I want to marry my girlfriend to start her papers. However, we live in different states. Can we still file? Ooh, that's a very good question. And this is from Apocalypsis, New York. Apocalypsis, yes, you can still file. So I've actually had many cases for married couples who don't live together where we have helped them file for a green card. It is not impossible. However, your case is going to have a higher scrutiny, right? Because the assumption is that when you are married, you're going to be living together. So if you're not living together, there has to be good reason and a good explanation why, and you need to have a strong case with good evidence. So it's still possible. I would say you want to have an attorney by your side, okay? Give us a call, El Apocalypsis, 212-248-7907. I'm an Australian citizen and I want to move to the US and start my own business. What are my options? From Canberra Boy. You may want to look at certain options. I believe if you're Australian, you can do the E3 visa or the E2, but I don't do these visas anymore. I'm solely doing humanitarian cases, which do not include business cases. But that would be your starting point, is to look at an E3 or an E2 to start out, okay? Will DACA ever open up again? From Brian J. Cass. Brian J. Cass, I have hope that it will. Okay, I have hope that it will. Okay, can a woman at 54 marry a guy who's 27? From Anna Marie. Anna Marie, yeah, anyone can marry anyone. I don't care how old you guys are. I don't care, what orientation, how many marriages you've had in the past. Anyone can marry anyone. However, when you have big differences like that, that's almost a 30-year difference. You have to understand that immigration is going to be looking at that with suspicion from right off the bat because of that big age difference, because it is not traditional. But just because it is not traditional does not mean that it's not going to work or that you're going to get denied. So as I said, for example, some non-traditional situations where you can still get approved for a green card is if there's a big age difference between the spouses, or if it's a traditional marriage, the woman is a lot older, or if the couple lives in different states, or certain things like your family doesn't know about your marriage, right? Because you're hiding it for other reasons. Maybe there's a religious difference or cultural difference because of that. Well, these are things that they're going to, immigration has a job to do. Immigration has a job to not grant green cards to people they believe are in fake marriages. So they're just doing their job. However, it doesn't mean that you can't prepare to show and prove why your relationship is real, right? It's not immigration's business to judge that, it shouldn't be a real marriage, but or that a marriage can't be real just because there's a big age difference. But you still have to beef up your bona fides. You still have to have a real relationship and be able to show and demonstrate that you have joined your lives together. Okay. Can you expedite your VAWA case to go to your home country if somebody in your family is sick? And if there's any fees for it. So Navdeep, you can expedite, but it's going to be very difficult. But if you're eligible for filing the I-485, you can also apply for an advanced parole document, and that can be expedited, okay? If you need assistance with your case, give us a call. Mogia is asking if I have any updates in the DHS funding bill. I don't have any updates about this. I'm very sorry. I have a VAWA case pending. Is it possible to invite my mom to the U.S.? I work and pay taxes from Jean. Jean, you can definitely apply. You can invite your mom. There's no restriction, but your mom may have a difficult time, I think, because they may ask her questions about your case if you disclose that you're filing for VAWA. So I don't recommend that you do that. My dad is a U.S. citizen. I have my green card. Do I have to wait 5 or 3 years for citizenship from Miguel? Miguel, if you did not get your green card through marriage, you have to wait 5 years to file for citizenship. Pepe and Trav is asking for my number. My telephone number is 212-248-7907. What is the easiest way for a DACA recipient to get a green card from Los 29? Los 29, the easiest way for a DACA recipient to get a green card is going to probably be through marriage to a U.S. citizen or to a green card holder. Other than that, most other cases are going to be pretty difficult to do because most DACA recipients will need either a waiver for unlawful presence or they may not qualify to adjust because they don't have a lawful entry to the U.S. I'm a U.S. citizen. I have kids that are 5 years old. As parole, can I apply for citizenship directly from Sally King? Sally King, it really depends. I think you need to look at the laws for automatic acquisition of citizenship. And the answer to your question is going to be in the Child Citizenship Act of 2000. Where am I located from NRAJ? NRAJ, I'm located in the wonderful state of New York. And I'm in New York City. However, I work with clients all over the U.S. Stephanie is asking, I need information on how best to apply for a tax ID. I want to request an individual tax ID for me and my family. Which agencies can help with that? That is still a reasonable price. Stephanie, I don't really have a good answer for this because it's not something that I deal with. However, I believe that most people usually apply for an ITIN or the tax identification number when they are filing for taxes. And I believe you can make that request at that time. But the best thing for you to do is to speak with an accountant or like an H&R Block or something like that to talk about getting the tax ID number done. Lakshmina is asking, I'm a U.S. citizen. I want to bring my 18-year-old brother. What should I do? Lakshmina, you got to file an I-130 for him, and it's going to take about 14, 15 years. What if I'm married, my husband is undocumented, and I want to fix my mom first? From Jax. Jax, there's no limitation. There's no limitation to how many people you can help at the same time, okay? What solutions are there? My parents that came illegally, they want their citizenship through daughter, from Tiffany Gons. Tiffany Gons, when parents have not come legally, then it makes it a little bit more difficult. And we have to see if they qualify for things such as VAWA or a T visa or a U visa. These are cases that do not require people to have a legal entry in order to get a green card. So it really depends on your parents' case and what they qualify for. Can you travel if your removal proceedings have been dismissed? We have a green card, Kevin Durant. That's great. Congratulations, Kevin. If your removal proceedings are terminated, they're dismissed, they're done. You're no longer in removal. You have a green card. You never lost it. Wonderful. So you should be okay to travel, but discuss with your attorney, of course, okay? What solutions are there? My parents that came illegally, they want to do citizenship through daughter from Tiffany Gons. Okay, so I'm going to clarify again what some of the options are for parents who came illegally and they want to fix to the adult child. Now, first thing that we always look for is Section 245I or military parole in place. And if that doesn't work, then we look to see if they qualify for VAWA because of things they've suffered from their adult children, or for a U visa, which is for victims of crime, or for T visas, which is for victims of trafficking. I have my green card and I want to bring my wife. What do I have to do? Mustafa, you have to start the process for your wife by filing the I-130 and then waiting to see if that gets approved and then do consular processing. With the pending asylum interview, can do a job sponsor from IFE, and anyone else. So it doesn't matter what case you have pending. If you want to be sponsored by an employer, the two things that we have to look at to see are, number one, are you still in status? Meaning, is your visa entry still valid? Are you still here legally, basically? Or has your visa already expired? And number two is we have to see, do you have any unlawful presence? So if you want to be sponsored by your employer, then you need to be in status. If you're out of status, if you have an asylum pending, that's going to be basically out of status because your visa status is probably expired unless you have something else like a student visa, right? And that is not violated yet. So being sponsored by a job is actually not as easy as you think. And in most cases, you may need to leave the US to do a visa interview overseas. My order removal and order of supervision does not have a specific date of departure for me to leave. So if you are underneath an order of supervision, that means that you were already ordered deported, but now ICE has agreed to let you stay because of some compelling humanitarian factors. Now, there's no real expiration date for orders of supervision. It can be indefinitely renewed, or they can decide not to renew it any time, okay? All right, Claver, Franca, Nato. I sent you a message yesterday. I filed an I-751 waiver to remove conditions from my green card. Is VAWA acceptable for those who have a conditional green card? So first of all, Claver, thank you for sending a message. Just gotta let you know I get lots of messages and I actually don't answer my own messages because I don't have the time. However, we do our best to respond to as many as we can every single day. Now, if you filed an I-751 waiver to remove conditions, you can file the VAWA-related waiver for the I-751, which is the extreme cruelty and battery waiver. You can still try to file the VAWA application, but you don't really need to because you already have the green card. And you can do this extreme cruelty and battery waiver underneath your I-751, which is almost the same thing, okay? So Claver, hopefully we can speak soon, okay? My husband is US. I'm Canadian. My daughter was born in the US. What's the next step? From Jasmine Orantes. Jasmine, if your husband is a citizen, the next step is for you and your husband to file together for your green card, okay? And then hopefully once you get that, you'll be eligible to do citizenship after 3 years, okay? Give us a call if you need help, 212-248-7907. Why is a joint account important for the green card process? From Lisa. Lisa, thank you. It's a good question, which nobody has ever asked me. Now, immigration has a job when they get your green card case for your marriage, and they always have to determine, did you enter into your marriage for the wrong reason, which is that you basically is it a fake marriage or is it a real relationship where you have tried to join your lives together? And immigration has a matrix of evidence that they look at. So the top of this matrix or the top of this list, the most important evidence that they use to judge their validity and the realness of a marriage is joint bank accounts, joint returns, joint finances, joint liabilities. For the old-fashioned reason that basically I believe that they believe that if it's not a real marriage, then why would you put your money together? Because that's just too risky. So in that sense, the more joint liabilities and joint assets that you have, for them, it's a higher standard of proof to proving a bona fide good faith marriage. Rosie Garcia saying, my case is closed because I'm over 21. Can my work sponsor me to reopen my case? Rosie, if your case is closed because you're over 21, your work cannot reopen that case. But maybe your work may be able to sponsor you in other ways if you're eligible to apply, okay? What lip shade? It is Smashbox something. I forget the shade. Stepping Out. DACA recipient with an ongoing U visa application, is AP a good idea from Wanye Kest? Wanye Kest, yes. If you have DACA and you qualify for advanced parole, I recommend that you do it, because if you are only missing a legal entry to the U.S., if you do end up getting married to somebody in the future, it will probably make it a lot easier for you to do adjustment of status. My fiance is from Morocco. Would it be best to file a K1 visa or get married in Morocco and then do the K3? From Mexicana Loca. I don't like fiance visas anymore. They're just very difficult to do because there's a lot of variable factors that make it very unpredictable, and it's very hard to do interviews right now. I recommend, if you have the option to get married, to just get married and do the immigrant visa. Immigrant visas will always get interviews. And the K3 doesn't really work very much. In theory, you can apply for it, but it's not going to change the time. I recommend that you get married and do the immigrant visa processing, because when you do the K3, also remember, if you do a fiance visa is a good option for people who really can't travel to get married to see each other, right? If you do a K1, if you do a fiance visa, keep in mind that when your fiance visa gets approved, when you come here to get married, it is only giving you permission to get married. You do not get an automatic green card. You do not get an automatic work permit. You still have to apply for those separately after you wait almost a year to get a fiance visa and come to the US to get married, okay? So for many reasons, I don't really recommend it. When a US citizen is petitioning for their spouse abroad, does the spouse have to be employed for the US citizen to file for their spouse? So God is good. Thank you for that question. If you are the foreign citizen, there's no requirement that you work. It is actually your US citizen spouse that has to be able to satisfy the requirement that they earn a minimum amount of income, okay? So don't worry about that. All right, God is good. And everybody else, thank you so much for watching. I hope you found this informative. Make sure you follow me on all social media, Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, YouTube. Guys, I have almost 32,000 subscribers on YouTube, which is amazing. So please follow me for my content there. I'm putting out lots of important videos almost every single week, so you don't want to miss it, okay? And if you want an appointment with me, give us a call, 212-248-7907, okay? I look forward to speaking with you guys here again.